there tend to be these two extremes. The one extreme I'm going to call toxic positivity and Pollyanna. And this camp says that everything is great always. I want to go to my organic farmer's market barefoot and don't trouble me with any of your problems or any of the world's problems because my little life out in the suburbs is just magnificent and I don't want to hear about anything that could possibly bring me down. Then there's another camp that I'm going to call the nihilism and despair camp. And this camp is the complete opposite. This is everything is terrible. How dare you smile? How dare you tell me about your good day? There are so many systems and structures in this world and everything is so broken. Let's just all doom scroll. And here's the thing. On the surface, these extremes seem like polar opposites, but they actually share something in common. And that is that if you hold either of these beliefs, if you fall prey to either of these extremes, it's a cop-out. It absolves you of having to do anything. Let me tell you why. If everything is so great and you can't be bothered, well then why would you take any effort to make anything better? Why would you try to improve yourself, improve your community, improve your organization, improve the world? It's all perfect. It's all hunky-dory. If everything is so terrible that any individual action you take will have no effect, well then why would you take any action? It's pointless. So these two extremes, they're lazy. They're cop-outs. But there is an enormous gap, a chasm in between the two, and that is where we need to exist. I want to say this quote from Bruce Springsteen. You learn to accept the world on its terms without giving up belief that you can change the world. That's a successful adulthood. The maturation of your thought process and very soul to the point where you understand the limits of life without giving up on its possibilities. That's what it means to be a mature adult, right? That is existing in the middle of these two extremes. There's a concept called tragic optimism that I think can really help ground us in that middle. It was first developed by Viktor Frankl, Holocaust survivor and psychoanalyst. In Frankl, he's really well known for his book Man's Search for Meaning. He's less known for this essay that he wrote called The Case for Tragic Optimism. In it, Frankl says that the toxic positivity, Pollyanna outlook is just not true. Frankl acknowledges that there are three tragedies that we all face. The first is physical pain, because we're made of flesh and bone. No one gets out of this life without feeling some physical pain. The second is frustration. We have these big prefrontal cortices in our brain, and they're wonderful. They allow us to make all sorts of plans. But sometimes our plans don't work out, and our hopes don't come true. And that leads to frustration. Sometimes it leads to heartbreak. And that is a kind of suffering. And then the third kind of suffering is that we are the only species that is acutely aware of our own impermanence and the impermanence of everything that we love. So we know that everything's going to change, and eventually everything will come to an end, including our own lives. And Frankl says that is some heavy stuff. But we should not bury our heads in the sand. We should not delude ourselves. We should accept that those are the three tragedies inherent to even the best existence, and we should trudge forward with a hopeful, optimistic outlook nonetheless. That's what tragic optimism is all about. Research shows that tragic optimism at the individual level is really good for us. Individuals that bring this sort of attitude to the world and to suffering and to pain, they tend to respond with less stress, and they tend to be more resilient. But tragic optimism is equally, if not more important, on the cultural level. Because if we are to have any chance in improving what's broken about the world, then we cannot become broken people. We also can't become delusional people. We've got to exist somewhere in the middle. This is true on a micro scale when things don't go well in our own life, and this is true on a macro scale when things don't go well at large. We cannot fall prey to these extremes. If we do, we give up our own agency, we give up our own health, and we give up a chance at actually improving things that we care about. So, don't be an unabashed optimist. Don't bury your head in the sand. But don't fall prey to tragedy and pessimism either. Try to become a tragic optimist. Acknowledge and accept all the suffering inherent to this human existence, and do what you can to muster hopefulness and optimism, not in spite of our impermanence and in spite of all of its wrong, but because of it.